Do you ever wonder whether the influencers that we see online are actually rich or whether it's all just fake? Sometimes it feels like all influencers do is just spend copious amounts of money, from private Pilates sessions to luxury cars, extravagant trips, mansions, or just an endless supply of the trendiest items showing up in their videos. I even come across influencers who are spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on the regular on things I have never heard of before. Things like lymphatic drainage massages that cost $250 a session, custom hair extensions that can be anywhere from $750 to $3,000 for hair. Or custom veneers, which can cost $1,000 to $2,500 per tooth, making a full mouth makeover upwards of $30,000. Side note, is it just me, or does it feel like veneers have become all the rage in the last 2 years? I don't remember hearing about these things before, but now I cannot stop seeing posts about celebrities and influencers who've been getting them. Anyways, we see headlines about big influencer paychecks from the likes of the Paul brothers to Alex Earl, and we certainly see the obscene amount of spending that they seem to do. But is any of this real? And most of the influencers that we're seeing aren't these big names, and yet they also seem to be living large. So what about them? Since it's social media, is it all just fake? Coming from someone who is technically an influencer and who pretty much talks about money and media for a living, here's what I think. It is yes and no. I think most influencers are in this particularly awful, conflicting spot where their lifestyle is literally their currency, where products and experiences are being subsidized by brands behind the scenes, and where there is such a culture of short-term thinking. And so that's what I want to talk about in today's episode of Fake Rich Flexing Influencer Edition. If you want to see more fake rich flexing videos, these are where I take a look at the different aspects of culture that have to do with performative wealth. Check out my one on celebrities after this video, or my most recent one on Cybertrucks. Also, I'm filming in a different area right now because I just moved apartments and I'm trying to figure out where to film. So let me know if you like this area. I don't know how I feel about it, so I might be in a different spot next time. Who knows? But like I mentioned before, one thing that fake rich flexing tends to have in common, and influencers certainly fall prey to this, is short-term thinking. There's no thought or planning for the future, what to do when the unexpected happens. And the thing about unexpected things is that they're, unexpected. You can't know when unexpected things are going to happen. That being said, there are ways to better protect yourself financially against those unexpected things. One of those ways is through life insurance, which today's sponsor, Policy Genius, makes finding and buying incredibly simple. See, life insurance provides a financial safety net for your loved ones so that if/when you die, since death is coming for all of us, you can ensure that they are better taken care of. This stuff sounds glum, I know, no one wants to think about if they're gonna die unexpectedly, but the same way that it's important to have an emergency fund in case your influencing career comes to a halt, it is also very important to have term life insurance if there are people out there who depend on you. Life insurance is something that most of us should have, and if you don't, Policy Genius fortunately makes finding and buying life insurance super easy. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options are 100% online and let you avoid unnecessary medical exams. Make this the year that you check life insurance off your list and better protect your family's future with Policy Genius. You can start that in no time by going to policygenius.com/Cara Nicole, or click the link that I have in my description below to compare free life insurance quotes from top companies and see how much you could save. Click the link now, put it in a separate tab so that you don't forget about this, because seriously, this is really important stuff. Again, that is policygenius.com/Cara Nicole, and a huge thank you to Policy Genius for sponsoring today's video. So you know how it sometimes feels like everyone is an influencer these days, and sometimes for the weirdest of reasons? Exhibit A of Hawk to a Girl, who I actually recently made a video about because she might have inadvertently scammed her audience. Well, you're not far off from thinking that everyone and their mother seems to be becoming an influencer. According to the research firm Mintel, 1 in 5 social media users consider themselves an influencer or content creator. That might get you asking, where is all this money come that is funding these influencer lifestyles? As a self-described influencer, I'll let you in on a little secret, all right? This is basically a career pyramid scheme. Seriously, just like a pyramid scheme, most influencers are not making a lot of money. And I don't mean something like, oh, they're not making $50,000 a live stream like Jeffree Star does, but they're still making good money. No, I mean that they are probably not making $50,000 in their entire influencing career, start to finish. According to NeoReach, an influencer marketing firm, only 13% of influencers earn six figures annually, while 48% make less than $15,000. For reference, that is below the 2024 US poverty line. So yeah, your biggest creators with established businesses are probably making good money. And honestly, even then, it's gonna depend on what kind of content they're making. But your everyday TikTok comedian or Insta baddie is probably not rolling in it like you think. Or more importantly, like they want you to think. I actually worry about all these kids nowadays who answer that they want to be an influencer or a YouTuber or a streamer when they grow up. I know that makes me sound like such an old fart, but I genuinely think that there is this belief that if you become an influencer, you are gonna just cash in the checks and make a lot of money. But no joke, it is very possible to have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of followers, but still make less than you would make if you were just working at McDonald's. I'm not saying don't aspire to making content or building a business out of it, but I think that it's important to approach it the way an entrepreneur approaches something with a business, and don't think that it's just this golden ticket to making a lot of money. There, kids, I'm gonna crush your dreams. If so many influencers aren't making a lot of money though, how are they affording the lifestyles that they're portraying? 3 words, my friends: credit card debt.
I have debt, actually.
You have debt? How much debt do you have?
Right now, I have like $20,000 of debt. Borrowed it from the bank to I put it on a credit card. Just every episode that I film, I spend a lot of money on.
Okay, so not completely. Some influencers are coming from rich families. Some might have 9-to-5s that they're using to fund their influencer lifestyle. And some might be super faking it by doing things like buying products and clothes and then immediately returning it after making content, or even filming in dressing rooms and acting like it's their home. But for those who aren't in those situations and who aren't part of this small percent of influencers who are making a living online, good chance is that their fake rich flexing lifestyle is built on credit card debt. Putting money that you don't have on a credit card is an incredibly dangerous game to play. Credit cards are notorious for having very predatory interest rates that are hard to pay off. And just that mindset of, oh, I'll put this on my card, can get you into huge financial trouble. Personally, I like the advice of only buy something if you can afford it twice, and treat a credit card like a debit card. Never spend money that you don't have. But for influencers, that spending and piling up of debt to fund a glamorous lifestyle might seem like a business investment. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this might be the mindset. Many stories have come out of influencers or wannabe influencers who have gotten themselves into thousands of dollars worth of debt just so that they can keep up appearances. Like this woman whose shopping addiction was fueled by the desire to take a perfect Instagram photo. That addiction led her to $14,540 of debt over 8 credit cards in a period of 6 years. The same thing happened to influencer Lisette Calviero, who fell into $10,000 of credit card debt trying to make her life interesting so that it seemed like she was always doing something. As Lisette says, quote, "You feel like you have to put up this interesting lifestyle, less so a premium lifestyle. It's like, oh, I have things going on every day, don't you see?" And this quote perfectly addresses one of the crucial points of this video. And it's that for a lot of influencers, their lifestyle is their currency. It is their relevancy. It is the way that they stay on people's feeds and get lots of likes and followers and comments. Now, not everyone, to be clear. Basically, in the business of content creation, you have to have a thing, a niche, a topic, something that people can kind of grasp onto. I like to think mine is talking about money and media through video essays. For others, it might be baking or trick shots. There's the guy on the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel who will do survival trips to the wilderness, and those videos rack up millions of views, in part because he has a thing. No frills survival in brutal conditions, and he does it so well. For some influencers, their thing can literally just be their personality and that people like watching them. People like Emma Chamberlain or Liza Koshy. Jenna Marbles is another great example. I've been on a spree of rewatching her videos lately where she'll do things like make a dog bed out of soap. And it is so good. It's so fun. The thing is, we all know Jenna has money from her influencing. Dare I say, she's probably very rich. And we see peaks of that, like how big and nice her house is that she filmed in, but it is never the focus of her videos. Her content isn't consisting of house tours where she talks about how expensive her home is or all the fancy gadgets that she's tricked out in there and filled the rooms with. It's soap beds and other chaotic crafts.
Boo!
But for a lot of influencers, that's not the case. I would argue their thing is spending money. It's hauls, it's product reviews, it's house tours, it's outfit try-ons, it's I bought $1,000 worth of X so you don't have to. The heart of all of these things is that the content is centered around buying stuff. And buying stuff, surprise, surprise, costs money. I know. I'm an observational genius. Now, my harsh opinion is that this kind of content is just low-hanging fruit. I'm not convinced that it's honestly adding value to people's lives. It's like the adult equivalent of those little kid sensory videos with the dancing fruit. Kind of brain rotty, but at the same time entertaining. And I'm not even gonna lie, I have one time come across one of those dancing fruit videos and just sat there for a minute mesmerized, and I had to snap myself out of it. They are very transfixing. It's scary. For non-animated dancing fruit influencers, though, you have to find a way to keep the hamster wheel of content spinning. And if your content is based on constantly spending money, that means that you gotta flex and you gotta consume fast. The way that you spend money becomes the best way to farm engagement. People will want to talk about how aspirational it is that you buy cars for your friends, or they can get angry in the comments raging about the over-the-top spending that you did. Like the time when people were freaking out about cooking influencer Ballerina Farm's antique stove that costs apparently $30,000. Whether you like it or not, talking about those influencers' purchases is fueling their popularity, and thus their business. And honestly, none of this is something that we should be overly worried about on its own. I mean, yes, a lot of the content frustrates me because of how it's normalizing excess and overconsumption. Hauls especially piss me off for the fact that they have become a subgenre of their own. And that is just lazy and it's bad for the planet. But I think the real issue is that when we as viewers look at these influencer lifestyles portrayed online and we start comparing ourselves to them, we might even start subconsciously mimicking the content wheels that they are trapped on, like trying to find things to do every day so that you can then post and make it seem like you're interesting to your friends or just strangers. I talked a lot about how social media keeps you poor and how comparison keeps you poor, so I won't dive too deep into this piece, but just know that the influencer lives that we are seeing are part of a business, and that business very well might be propped up by credit card debt, short-term thinking, and overall awful money management. It also can be propped up by PR gifts. Tons and tons of PR gifts. For those who don't know, as an influencer, you can post your P.O. box address and brands can then send you products for free. Transparently, I don't have any P.O. box that I have people send things to, but I have had a few companies reach out and send me things. I will say though, it's only ever books. It's like publishing houses that will send some new books over, and I do take them because I really like nonfiction books and I enjoy reading them. So I do that. The brands hope that you post about the products to your audience, though you don't have to. So a lot of influencers, especially bigger influencers who might already be making good money, are also having their lifestyles subsidized by these free PR packages. So those endless new products and unboxings that you're seeing, maybe even the lavish resort that you see them vacationing at, there's a good chance that those influencers didn't spend a penny on any of it. Great for them. Bad for comparison. Knowing about the PR gift world, it makes no sense to compare ourselves to famous influencers because we're not in their same position. They shouldn't even compare their real lives to their digital ones because there's also a good chance that they wouldn't be able to afford all the PR gifts that they're receiving. I think of it like the gift bags that are given out at award shows like the Oscars or the Golden Globes. Like at this year's Golden Globes, the swag bags were apparently worth $1 million. They included things like $500,000 beachfront villa stay, fancy treadmill, and a French wine tasting excursion. Pretty nice gift bag. And sure, some of the nominees who received these swag bags could probably dish out $1 million if they wanted to, like Selena Gomez, who is a billionaire. But I bet you that there were nominees who don't have $1 million to their name, let alone could buy $1 million worth of random gifts. This phenomenon of fame not always being correlated with fortune is actually something I talked about in my video Fake Rich Flexing Celebrity Edition. Anna Kendrick is a great example. Nowadays, she's probably rich, but earlier into her career, when she was first nominated for an Oscar, she described how she couldn't even afford designer shoes to the movie's premiere, and how she was essentially broke. This is all to say that it is very possible for some influencers to be gifted things that are going to be worth more than they'll ever make in their influencing career. And that gives us an incredibly distorted picture of what these people are truly able to afford. And last but not least, if we are going to talk about influencer fake rich flexing, we have to talk about the overall poor money management going on in this industry. Maybe it's unfair to say the industry because even beyond influencers, there is a lot of bad money management out there. In part because we aren't taught this stuff growing up. A lot of us learn how to manage money once we're already in financial trouble, if we ever learn about it at all. But come on, influencers are not exactly famous for spending and saving money wisely. There's this quote that I absolutely love that goes, "People want to be millionaires so that they can spend $1 million. But that is the exact opposite of having $1 million." And doesn't that just hit the nail on the head? Because in the influencer world, people want to look rich and look interesting, but paradoxically, the attempt to look rich and interesting can make you very much not rich and not interesting. You'll end up overspending to impress randos and focused more on capturing the perfect picture or the perfect video rather than living in the moment. I kind of get it though. Saving $1 million is a whole lot less interesting to watch videos about than spending $1 million. Like my videos, I think they're interesting. I enjoy making them, but I accept and even embrace the fact that watching Mr. Beast spend $500,000 quickly is so much more interesting. It is so much more fun to watch than my videos. It just is. I accept it. Even beyond money, healthy and sustainable lifestyle choices aren't visually the most interesting to watch. Good to live just doesn't make good visual fodder, you know? That's why the depressed artist narrative is so popular. There's an intrigue to it. Sure, there are plenty of successful artists who have happy, emotionally stable lives, but that doesn't make a good biopic. Back to influencers though, this is an industry where you can make a huge amount of money very suddenly. But it's also an industry where careers don't tend to last very long. There are some who manage to keep reinventing themselves, but most influencers, I would guess, only have 3 to 5 years of being popular to really cash in their money-making time. And if an influencer isn't thinking long-term about their money, it is very possible that at the end of their influencing career, they can be completely broke despite having made probably millions of dollars. Former Vlog Squad member Jason Nash is a great example of this. Jason was one of the most popular members of that influencer group, and he absolutely was making millions of dollars. I have no doubt about that. He was touring, he had merch, he had a family-friendly vlog channel that reportedly made more money than David's channel. He had a podcast. If he had saved and invested properly, he 100% could have retired and lived off those investment returns for the rest of his life. You can argue that he lives in an expensive city and he has kids, but I know the math. A lot of people retire happily on way less than that. He could have done it. So from the outside looking in, it seems like he instead did a whole lot of excess spending and dug himself into a financial hole, which led him to doing TikTok lives for some extra money.
Now look, would I be on TikTok live if I wasn't in like a financial hole? I don't know, probably not.
Big guys, bring it home for me! Bring it home!
With bigger influencers who make obscene amounts of money, and I'm talking things like $50,000 for an Instagram post, I think two things happen. One is that money starts losing meaning. When you don't have much money, $50,000 is a whole lot of cash. That is an annual salary right there.
I am not even going to tell you all the price because you might just slap me across my mouth. But this, if I ever wanted to sell it, you guys, girl, I could buy a few homes with that one.
But if you make that in 1 hour, you almost can't help but lose perspective. It is very easy to get sloppy with your money. Pair that with the second thing, which is this feeling that the gravy train is gonna always keep flowing forever, it's never gonna end, and an influencer can find themselves in a very dangerous situation. Not that this has publicly happened to her yet, but Tana Mojo is a huge influencer who's been open about the ways that she has lost enormous amounts of money. And what's crazy is that those losses don't seem to faze her much.
For an entire year, I paid $60,000 a month for a life coach who taught me nothing more than to take fish oil pills in the morning.
Now, some influencers are going to get lucky without ever learning about good money management. Maybe Tana will be one of those. If it happens, my guess is that it's because they have good people around them, like a good money manager, good lawyers, people to have these checks and balances in their lives. But unfortunately, with more and more influencers popping up and fake rich flexing culture with no end in sight, I expect that we are going to see a whole lot more influencers falling into financial ruin in the future. Influencing isn't a job that lasts forever, and honestly, no job lasts forever. Most people want to retire at some point. So the money management rules end up being the same. You gotta save. You gotta live below your means, and you have to invest in order to build long-term wealth. I think there is a lot that we can learn from influencers, their flexing, and their money moves, and hopefully there was something that you were able to learn from this here influencer. I don't love the term influencer, but I accept that that is kind of what I would be called. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you liked this video. I hope you liked the Fake Rich Flexing series. Let me know what videos you want to see me make this year, what topics I should be covering. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon and those who support the channel on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Also, do not forget to subscribe. Yes.